A medical transport jet with a child patient and 5 others aboard the plane crashed into a neighborhood in Philadelphia tonight shortly after takeoff. Jet Rescue Air Ambulance says the patient and another passenger were on board along with 4 crew members. The company could not confirm any survivors. Dashcam footage shows that plane dropping from the sky, then crashing to the ground. According to the FAA, the plane was headed to Springfield-Branson National Airport. That's in southwestern Missouri. The crash happened less than 3 miles from Northeast Philadelphia Airport, which primarily serves business jets and charter flights. The cause of that crash is under investigation still tonight. As recovery efforts continue in the Potomac River in D.C., we are learning more about the focus of the investigation into that deadly midair collision between a regional jet and Army Black Hawk helicopter.
67 people died. It's the deadliest aviation disaster for U.S. carriers in almost a quarter century. NTSB teams are now analyzing the voice and data recorders pulled from the wreckage of the plane.
We recovered from the CRJ 2 separate recorders. We have a high level of confidence that we will be able to get a full download in the very near future.
Many analysts and pilots have said that from what we've seen, it appears the chopper was flying too high on Wednesday night and may have strayed from its approved flight path. There are also questions about reduced staffing in the air traffic control tower. It's described as acceptable by FAA standards, but not normal to have one person doing the job of 2.
We most likely had a multitude of different issues, whether it be from understanding where a plane is, what our altitude is, what the speed is.
The FAA says the low-altitude helicopter corridor that goes by D.C.'s Reagan National Airport is now closed indefinitely. The agency shut down what's known as Route 4 this morning. Authorities hope that more answers can be found in the jet's flight data and voice recorders, so-called black boxes, which were recovered last night.
Turn our attention now to the forecast. We had a lovely way to kick off the weekend today and even more beautiful weather on our way this weekend. We're expecting a mild and warm next couple of days. Highs likely in the 60s. Corey Reppenhagen joins us tonight to talk about what's really a nice forecast for the next couple days.
Yeah, it really is. Much like today, tomorrow we'll get into the 60s for most of us here in town. The only difference might be a little bit more wind and a little bit more cloud cover, but those temperatures getting up there very close to 60 once again. So take a look at the forecast for tomorrow in Denver. We have not as much sunshine in the forecast as we saw throughout the day on Friday, but look at the temperatures quickly rise up into the 50s and possibly hitting 60 degrees here in Denver tomorrow. Here's the forecast for the rest of the state and the area. Lots of 50s and 60s on the east side of the state and some 30s and 40s in the mountains because they will have a winter storm in the mountains. But these warm temperatures will carry through the weekend into the middle of next week. I'll be talking about that wind coming up for us tomorrow in the foothills and some mountain snow also this weekend. That's all coming up in the forecast.
The president will be implementing tomorrow a 25% tariffs on Mexico, 25% tariffs on Canada, and a 10% tariff on China.
President Trump doubles down on imposing new tariffs tomorrow, sticking to his February 1st deadline for that new plan.
The president's new tariffs are expected to make a whole variety of products more expensive for Americans.
9 News reporter Colton Chavez joins us live tonight talking about what this could mean for one industry, the auto industry.
Yeah, I stopped by this body shop earlier today and I found out that a lot of the parts that our cars use come from Mexico and Canada. What I also learned that if these tariffs do go into place, we could see those price increases soon after. Any good mechanic knows there is a procedure to fixing cars the right way. What will soon change is the price customers pay for that procedure.
Obviously, we work on a bunch of different cars, you know, Volvos, Rivians, Teslas, Toyotas, but this is where we get intake of parts.
Caleb Hogan, a specialist at Rickenbach Collision, says the price for those parts will increase if tariffs for Mexico and Canada go up to 25%.
So that's kind of the big thing to consider is part price changes. And that's just a cost, though, that gets passed along to insurance companies and consumers.
Well, as an economist, my first reaction is that
Dr. Kishore Kulkarni, an economics professor at MSU Denver, agrees.
There is very simple economic hypothesis that tariffs do not help the economy in terms of economic welfare.
A tariff is a tax governments can put on imported goods. He says the financial impact will always be passed down to the consumer. and it will happen fast.
Let me give you a most recent example. In George Bush Jr. Days, we put some tariff on steel. In less than 1 week, the goods that use a lot of steel already raised their prices.
Dr. Kulkarni says there's still time to hit the brakes on this.
I think Congress can easily pass another act to say let's not do it.
But if they do, Hogan says it's a price increase that customers have already dealt with.
It's extremely common to get a part one day and the next day it's more. And like some of that phone call that I was just having was over part price changes.
And as for Dr. Kulkarni, he says there's also a possible fear for retaliation, saying that by the United States implementing these tariffs, that countries could turn around and do the exact same thing to the United States, causing for more prices to go up. Live in Denver, Colton Chavez, 9 News.
Federal prosecutors who investigated the actions of the pro-Trump mob that attacked the Capitol on January 6 are now being purged from the Justice Department. That's according to a memo obtained by the Associated Press. The acting Deputy Attorney General directed the interim U.S. Attorney in Washington to fire the prosecutors who investigated Trump's supporters. This comes shortly after Trump's sweeping clemency order benefiting more than 1,500 people charged with federal crimes for the riot, including those who violently attacked law enforcement. Right now, it's not clear how many prosecutors are impacted by this purge. Federal agents arrested 7 suspects for an alleged drugs, guns, and sex trafficking ring based out of an apartment complex in Denver.
The ring is reportedly led by Tren de Aragua, a violent Venezuelan gang infamous for its involvement in extortion, human trafficking, and organized crime.
9 News reporter Ria Jha is here after looking at this arrest affidavit. Ria?
Yeah, that connection to TDA was uncovered during a federal sting operation out of the Ivy Crossing apartments in southeast Denver. This case revealing that Denver is now part of TDA's expanding footprint, which has gained a reputation as one of Latin America's most dangerous transnational organized crime groups. Not a cartel hideout, not a criminal warehouse, just an ordinary Denver apartment complex. But inside, gun deals, drug trafficking, and sex trade negotiations. For months, federal investigators say much of it was based right here at Ivy Crossing Apartments. Federal investigators were tipped off by the Adams County Sheriff's Office in October. Months of undercover work led to a dramatic takedown on Wednesday, a staged drug deal involving 10 pounds of meth. 7 men were arrested. Court documents say a confidential informant helped set up multiple undercover operations, during which agents bought at least 8 guns, including a fully automatic weapon, from one named suspect, Jose Manuel Guerra Caballero, and his associates. During these purchases, there were multiple discussions about sex trafficking. Guerra Caballero said he had access to, quote, purchasing girls from Mexico and bringing them to Denver. On one occasion, Guerra Caballero tried to sell them TUSI, a synthetic drug containing a mixture of meth, cocaine, MDMA, and ketamine. At one of these meetups, one suspect identified Guerra Caballero and at least one other associate as members of Tren de Aragua, the infamous violent Venezuelan gang. The Ivy Crossing apartment served as a meeting point for suspects. Undercover agents watched them move weapons in and out of the complex and use it to coordinate trafficking operations. An operation far from its roots in South America. This marks the first time federal authorities have publicly linked TDA to organized crime in Colorado. The main suspect was charged with conspiracy to distribute meth and 1 count of possession of a firearm in furtherance of drug trafficking crime. He was arrested in Indiana. Ria Jha, 9 News.
School districts around the state say that attendance has remained steady despite community anxiety over immigration raids. The Trump administration recently changed policies to allow for immigration raids at schools, churches, hospitals, and similar sensitive spaces. School leaders report steady attendance in Denver, Boulder, Greeley, Morgan County, Summit School District. The superintendent up in Summit says the staff's been instructed to deny immigration agents access to the schools unless they have a warrant. He worries about the emotional toll on students.
We have stories of students getting off the bus and running home and not going out to play where they normally would play. And I think probably the bigger things are students honestly just having to make it through the school day in fear.
Worth noting that immigration operations at school buildings have been extremely rare. In a number of districts, including Denver and Summit County, the schools are asking parents to update emergency contact information with new contacts to ensure kids can be picked up if parents are rounded up by immigration.
You try canceling your phone, your internet, or your TV service, you will likely end up in an automated phone menu or a chat box. But texting for help because you're in crisis, it's not supposed to feel the same way. Just last week, a mom from Broomfield, Mandy Davis, was in crisis with her kid. She texted 988, the emergency crisis line, looking for a place to go. She said these responses were not helpful. The person on the other end of the line wasn't local and seemed to be searching the internet for answers.
I wanted them to provide me with an immediate solution that I could act on instead of just sitting there feeling helpless.
And I think that when you dial 988 or you text 988 and you're being told this is a crisis hotline and this is a hotline where you can call and get help and support and resources for any kind of a mental health crisis, you're looking for somebody who has an expertise in mental health.
The 988 Crisis Hotline Board in Colorado is aware of this issue. It was brought to their attention through the counseling community, but a formal complaint has to be filed for 988 to investigate any further. Solari is the Arizona-based company that's contracted to run 988 in Colorado. They said they do have call takers in a Denver call center, but the first texts are automated. They eventually route you to a human.